What's up, baseball fans, and what's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob, and welcome to day one of MLB Free Agent Frenzy right here on Talking Mets with Rob. Hopefully, everybody is doing good and waiting and anticipating the 5 p.m. hour, which starts all the craziness of the free agency period in Major League Baseball. We already got a ton of rumors that has been going all around Twitter, all around everywhere. I know Twitter has been absolutely insane lately with the verification stuff. So there's going to probably be a ton of real news and ton of fake news, and it's going to be interesting to try to figure out exactly what is what, because there's already a couple of John Heyman and Andy Martino and John Morosi fake Twitter accounts. So we definitely have to be careful about that and putting things out there that might necessarily be true. But we do know that there's a couple of things that we have been talking about that has been related to the Mets, and I will get started with the New York Mets because this is our Mets channel. We'll get into that right away. But first off, if you are new to the channel, please say what's up and let me know where you're from. And if you are not a Mets fan, let me know what fan you want, what team you are, what fan you are of the team, so we can talk about it. And hey, listen, all fans are welcome on this channel. You don't have to be a Met fan to be on this channel, specifically when it's free agency period and when it's the off season, because it involves all the teams. And also, don't forget to please hit on that like button. The more likes this stream gets, the more it gets at the top of the list, so more baseball fans can see what's up with this channel and see if they actually want to come back for more and more information and the fun that we had during the season with the live streams for the Mets games. I can assure you there'll be a ton of streams during the offseason based on free agent frenzy. There'll be breaking news, more specifically for the Mets, but when there's a big free agent signing that doesn't relate to the Mets, I will be doing YouTube shorts to break that news as well to everybody that checks out YouTube shorts as well. So don't forget to please hit on that like button and subscribe to the channel, because this is a free forum for all baseball fans, because the opinions of everybody do matter on this channel. And yes, you are a fan of another fan base, but that would be okay. So with that said, let's get right into the news about the New York Mets, and then we'll get a little further into more of the baseball news regarding other teams, and we'll go local first with the Mets, the Yankees, and then we'll go outside, most likely to the NL East, and then we'll go into the rest of the Major League Baseball with that. So I see Tyler is here from Arizona, D-backs fan here. Victor, Florida Mets fan, 62. All right, nice to see. And before we get started, I always give a shout out to everybody on the channel. So don't be shy. Say what's up. If you're on the stream right now, just say what's up in the chat and you'll get a shout out on this channel. So right now we got Robert, we got Steven, we got Cash, we got Ken, Victor, Kevin, Muttley, Tyler, Music Man, and Aiden. All right, buddy. All right, guys. So there we go. So with that said, starting off with the New York Mets moves. Eric, what's up, buddy? And Dark, what's up? Yeah, the Cardinals can be very interesting. It's for sure. Subaru, what's up, guys? All right, so we're going to start off with the Mets news right away. So there was a couple of things. First, we all know that Jacob deGrom opted out, became a free agent. We know Brandon Nimmo is a free agent. We know that the big name that everybody was revolving around rather quickly was Trey Turner, because the Mets were discussing it internally during the 2022 season about the possibility of getting Trey Turner. And of course, there's been more news about Trey Turner. We'll get into that in a little bit. But when it comes to Jacob deGrom, there was a report probably late last night to early this morning that Jacob deGrom has told the Texas Rangers that he is interested in joining the Texas Rangers. Again, that a lot of people on Twitter went insane in the comments, basically saying, how can you let him go to the Rangers, blah, 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 everything like that. But you have to understand where all this information is coming from. This is coming from Jacob deGrom's agent, right? The more teams that are involved in Jacob deGrom, the higher his price gets. And we'll talk about why I believe the Mets are going to have a firm price and amount of years and not probably go past that. And I'll tell you why that's smart in a little bit. So we know the teams that are interested in Jacob deGrom, right? We know about the Texas Rangers. We heard all 2022 about the Atlanta Braves being in the about Jacob deGrom. I don't think the Braves are going to be the highest bidder. Jacob deGrom is going to the highest bidder with the most years and the most money. Just like every other player is going to get the most money and the most years, and that's where they're going. It doesn't matter how they feel about the team, how they feel about the fans. It's going to come down to about their family, that money, and that many years. If Jacob deGrom gets 5 years from somebody, he's probably going to go to that team. If that's the Mets, if that's Atlanta, if that's the Rangers, it doesn't matter. The whole point is the money and the years talk, right? He didn't opt out to make $5 million more per year, all right? He opted out because he saw his own teammate Max Scherzer get $43 million for 3 years. That's why he's opting out, because in his mind and his agent's mind, he is the best pitcher in baseball based on stuff. Again, you can't say he's the best pitcher in baseball when he's pitched basically 30 games in 2 years. So you can't be considered the best pitcher in baseball, even though when he is healthy, he has the best stuff than anybody in baseball. So it's going to be very interesting because the Texas Rangers are desperate for starting pitching, right? Their GM came out and said it. Chris Young did say it, that they are looking predominantly for pitching. Their lineup is pretty damn good. It came down to them pitching. Their pitching sucks. So you always watch out for the teams that are desperate for pitching. That's why I don't think the Braves are going to go all in for Jacob deGrom, because they were never the team that goes all in for starting pitching on long-term contracts unless it's one of their own. They don't do that. They'll get the veterans like Charlie Morton, who, will cost 1 year, $20 million or something like that, veteran type of pitchers to put in the middle to back end of the rotation. But they usually honestly, if, according to Braves fans, right, Fried and Strider is supposed to be your 1-2 ace punch, right? So technically, where are you going to put deGrom? 5th, 4th in that rotation? You're just not. And I doubt they're going to go pay $45 million to an aging pitcher that has injury concerns. And let's be honest, the Mets know more about Jacob deGrom's injuries than any other team, even though, yes, the medicals have to be sent to other teams, but the Mets know every little detail. How many times did Jacob deGrom not pitch because of a nagging injury or any type of little issues that came up during the season that he couldn't pitch in the last couple of years because of nagging injuries. That's something that the Mets know and no other team knows. Obviously the agent is not going to really talk about the bad things about Jacob deGrom. He's going to tell you all the good things about Jacob deGrom. So do I believe Jacob deGrom is going to be a Met? I'm going to say 60-40 no. And the reason why is because what I just said. The Texas Rangers are a desperate team looking for starting pitching and really good to great starting pitching. And those type of teams that are desperate, that need that type of player to satisfy their season ticket holders. They have a new ballpark. There's so much involved in why they're going to be a desperate team and why that team is the one team I believe that can steal Jacob deGrom from the Mets. And that is not any way to blame the New York Mets. And the reason why I say that is because I think the Mets have a number and amount of years. We heard that they don't want to go past 3 years. I think Jacob deGrom is going to get 4 years. So I do think the Mets in a little bit of a pinch, they will go to 4th year. But I don't know. I don't think money is the issue. I think it's more of the fact of years, because they know about this injury history. They know about all the nagging injuries that went across the years of Jacob deGrom. And during spring training, when it was this, it was that. And then they finally found out exactly what it was. It was more of a bone injury than any type of muscle or ligament injury. So that seemed to help him help the Mets finally figure out, pinpoint what the injury was, because when a bone heals, a bone heals. And he looked like he was healthy at the end of the year, but he pitched 12 games for the Mets this in 2022. They actually had, he pitched good, but he wasn't dominant. Now you can say, well, he didn't really have a spring training. He didn't go through the motions where having he had a rested offseason, came into spring training thinking he was going to be healthy, and then the shoulder happened. So there could be a lot to talk about with that getting a full spring training, doing a normal routine for spring training, and Jacob deGrom could be great. I think, in my opinion, if the Mets do lose Jacob deGrom, I'd rather lose him to the Texas Rangers, where most likely the Mets are not going to be affected or see him much if he's a Texas Ranger, other than if he's somewhere in the National League. You don't have to see him. If he goes all the way out west in the American League, it's going to be a little easier to take than him, say, if somehow the Braves get him, because that would be insane. But I don't think the Braves are going to get him. I think the favorite is the Texas Rangers. But don't be surprised if Steve Cohen does everything he can to get Jacob deGrom, because he said it during Old Timers Day when they asked him about Jacob deGrom. He says if Jake wants to be here, he will do everything he can to make sure that happens. Again, it does come up to the fact that it's going to come down to what Jacob deGrom actually wants. The Mets can pay him the most if they want to. I don't think money is the issue. The issue might be, does Jacob deGrom want to be here? And I don't think it's about the Mets. I don't think it's about the team, the organization. I honestly think it's him and his family not wanting to live in New York. They want to live closer to home, which is Florida. Texas is far, not really that much far away from New York to Florida. It's about similar times plane ride, maybe about an extra half hour. So that really doesn't make sense with distance. Atlanta does, but I don't think the Atlanta Braves are going to go to the amount of years and the amount of money that is going to take to get Jacob deGrom. So, well, Ken, I agree. But again, I still think it comes down to money. If the Mets give him the most years and the most money, he'll be back with the Mets. I don't think it's that much of a thought that he does not want to be in New York anymore with his family. I don't know. But if the rumors are true that he said to the Texas Rangers he's interested in pitching for them, I mean he could have went to a bad team and says, hey, I want to pitch there, if they know that he has money. But why do you think that rumor came out about the Texas Rangers? Because they need pitching, and they're going to be desperate to do what they can to get pitching. That's why you didn't hear, him saying, oh, well, I want to go to Colorado. That's not that long of a flight, right? So it's basically, it's strategic with his agent. It's not a surprise that you heard about the Rangers before you hear about the Braves. Wouldn't you, if he really thought the Braves were a big option for him, wouldn't he put Atlanta, the team name Atlanta, out there in a rumor from his agent, knowing that that's the closest place he can actually go to that actually is a good team, really good team, closest to Florida? Why would he say Texas? Because he knows that the Braves, even if they might want him, are not going to go to the length and the amount that the Mets and the Rangers will go. That's why he said the Rangers, because that's the biggest threat for the Mets to retain Jacob deGrom. And, again, Bruce Bochy is the new manager of the Texas Rangers. They spent a ton of money last year with Simeon and Seager. So that's why they're going to try to get Jacob deGrom. And if they don't get Jacob deGrom, the Mets get him, they're going to probably pivot to Carlos Rodon. And I think that's another target for the Mets as well. So that's number one. Number two is Brandon Nimmo. Now, I'm not one of these Met fans that are falling over themselves for Brandon Nimmo. If you followed my channel before, you know that I like Brandon Nimmo, but I think the Mets could use that $120 to $140 million that Brandon Nimmo is projected to get and use it elsewhere to do better things. I don't think Brandon Nimmo is as good as everybody just believes. And I think, look, he's a very good player. But again, he comes up small in spots where team needs him. And specifically, if you look at the month of September for Brandon Nimmo, when Starlin Marte went down, his worst month of the 2022 season was when the Mets needed him most in September with Marte down. That was a big problem for me and why it turned me off a lot more than it already did with Brandon Nimmo. Number two, everybody talks about Brandon Nimmo being a great center fielder, a really good center fielder. The reason why he's a good center fielder is because the Mets analytical team told Brandon Nimmo, hey, you have problems going back on balls when you play normal depth. They told Brandon Nimmo, play deeper. You're better when you come in on balls. And that made Brandon Nimmo a better outfielder. When you play deeper, you're able to get to the gaps a lot quicker, and you obviously can get to deep fly balls a lot quicker as well, no matter how hard they're hit, right? But here's the problem with Brandon Nimmo playing deep. Number one, he has no arm. He has the least amount of assist with center fielders in the league because of the fact, one, he has no arm, two, he plays deep. So no arm and playing deep is not something that necessarily helps this team more often than not. How many times this year did you see a base hit up the middle where a runner goes first to third, and the runner does not have to be fast for the runner to go to the first to third? The same thing when there's a base hit up the middle and there's not a fast runner on second base. It seems like every time a ball's hit to center field and a runner's on second, that runner is always scoring from second base. That is not a good center fielder. I'm sorry. I can find a great center fielder that can play very good defense, that doesn't have to play deep because he can go back on balls, he can go in on balls, he has a better arm. And yes, people can be like, oh, so what are you going to do for leadoff hitters? I'll get into that in a little bit. There's ways to get around Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo is not a 300 hitter. If Brandon Nimmo was the 300 hitter, I would feel a little bit more inclined to keep Brandon Nimmo. He's a 260, 270 hitter, but has a terrible cold spot. When he's cold, he doesn't do what Brandon Nimmo does best. Doesn't walk a lot, doesn't take a lot of pitches, and strikes out a ton when he's not going well. Brandon Nimmo is, two Met fans are more the nostalgia about him because he came up from the farm system. Always when one of your own comes up and goes through the system and comes up, your fans are going to love them a little bit more than somebody that they signed from another team or traded from another team. That's what happens with players like that. The same reason why when Jose Reyes, his final year, Met fans are going goo goo gaga for him, and he went to the Marlins. Why? Because obviously the Mets didn't want to spend the money, but Met fans fell in love with Jose Reyes because he was one of their own. He was the one that came up through the system and was a fan favorite, and fans love those guys more, which is fine. But as a Mets fan, you have to step back. People outside, other fans of other teams, look from an outside perspective, love Brandon Nimmo, right? They see all the highlights, they see all the things he does well, but when you watch him every day, you see a lot of the things that doesn't make him worthy of more than $100 million a year contract. It's more about the contract and why I don't like the player, because I think the things he does well, kind of, if you put the pros and cons of Brandon Nimmo, there's just as many pros as there is cons. And then you got to pay this guy between $120 and $140 million. And I do not believe that Brandon Nimmo is worth more than $100 million. That's why there's other players out there that I think can be just as good as Brandon Nimmo, if not better, and could be and is definitely a better center fielder. And we'll get into that in a little bit as well. So Brandon Nimmo, you heard a rumor, but that the Mariners are very interested, which makes sense. Of course, Western, especially Northwestern teams are going to be interested. You know, the Rockies on the West Coast, the Seattle Mariners. Well, that's because he's from Wyoming, and of course, every time he plays in those areas, mostly Colorado, his family usually shows up to those games. So being closer to home is another thing when it comes to Brandon Nimmo as well. So that's something to look at as well. I think the Mets are going to make Brandon Nimmo an offer. I don't think it's going to be a big time offer to keep Brandon Nimmo. We'll see. You know, clearly they could have spoken to Brandon Nimmo. The Mets could have spoken to Brandon Nimmo's reps within that 5-day grace period, along with Jacob deGrom. Clearly, they didn't get nothing done because they're officially unrestricted free agents. So that's something that we would have to talk about as well. MB, how you doing, buddy? So right now, I'm just going over the news that came over the crust earlier today about Brandon Nimmo, Jacob deGrom, and I'm going to be talking about Trey Turner in a little bit. So I'm waiting for, of course, there's going to be news probably rolling in at 5 o'clock, like tons of news, ton of rumors, that's for sure. So MB, stick around. We're gonna be getting into it big time. I wanted to start with the Mets, obviously, but I'm gonna get into other teams as well as we approach 8 minutes until 5 p.m. when it's official that any free agent can sign with any team. Any team can assign any free agent. And, of course, all the trade rumors that are going to be bouncing around, too, because there is a pitcher that is going on the trade block that I think can really make a difference. And maybe the Mets will actually do that. And just give me 1 second. I just want to see one thing. Yeah. All right, cool. All right. So, all right, Grant, what's up, buddy? I see Alien here. We got Daniel. Who else we got here? We got Tommy. Let's see. I'm going to try to scroll back to see if I found anybody. Christopher, how you doing? Yes, Christopher, I think we do need a big bat. Let's see. Who else is here? All right. So we got Joseph, a member of Talking Mets. Rob, how you doing? All right. JC, how you doing? Jay, how you doing? Angie, how you doing? Let me just scroll around so I can make sure I got to everybody. Sean, a member of Talking Mets. Rob, how you doing? Giovanni, how you doing? Alana Pete, how you doing? Anthony, how you doing? And it looks like Dark, Eric, I got to you guys. All right, cool. And once again, guys, if you are new to the channel and you're tuning into this channel for the first time, please hit on that subscribe button, hit on that like button, and let me know where you're from and what team you're a fan of. Roberto, a member of Talking Metro Rob, how you doing? Video Game Nation, how you doing? Brian, how you doing? And Jose, how you doing? All right, guys, so let's get a little bit more further into the last well, you know what? I'm going to bring up one more thing after Trey Turner. So, obviously, there was rumors that the Mets, since last year, were internally talking about Trey Turner, and that kind of makes sense because of the fact that I think Trey Turner can fit with many teams. And again, we did hear the rumors earlier today that Trey Turner, according to probably his agent, saying that he wants to go to Philadelphia. Again, take that with a grain of salt. His agent is obviously, you look around the league, who needs a shortstop, who's going to pay a lot of money? You're going to hear those teams. The same thing with Jacob deGrom with the Texas Rangers, right? So all those rumors that you're hearing that we know that Trey Turner wants to come back to the East Coast. So Philly makes sense. The Mets make sense. You know what? Shoot, even the Braves make sense considering the fact that Swanson's a free agent, and at the moment they don't have a shortstop. And, there was a Brave fan the other day that was talking about Vaughn being their shortstop. I hardly doubt the Braves are going to let Swanson go and not try to get another shortstop. I think that would be crazy for them to lose Swanson because I think he was a big part of that team, and we'll see. But with Trey Turner, again, it comes down to money and years. Obviously, Trey Turner wants to play shortstop. The Phillies can easily move Stott over to second base. Boom. Turner can be a shortstop. But it also comes down to the fact, how aggressive are the Mets going to be with Trey Turner? I think they're going to be extremely aggressive. And I said this probably the last week or so during the Mets Talk Live yesterday with Mets Hot Stove. I said the Mets offseason, I believe, evolves around getting Trey Turner. Because if the Mets get Trey Turner, that gives them a way to not necessarily be so aggressive for Brandon Nimmo. It gives the Mets a lot of options with Trey Turner. Trey Turner is athletic. He's an elite defender, and he can play in many different positions. He can play center, he can play second, and we know he can play shortstop. As with the Mets, they could probably throw him in second, or they can throw him in center field, depending on what the offseason entails. I don't think the Mets will sign Turner and Brandon Nimmo. Again, could they? Of course. Money is usually not an issue. But what Turner can do, I think most likely cancels out Brandon Nimmo. Turner can be a leadoff hitter. Brandon Nimmo's a leadoff hitter. Turner on base percentage is I believe it's 809. I think Nimmo's around 825. So they're around the same thing. But what I like about Trey Turner is the fact that what Brandon Nimmo doesn't do at all is stolen bases. And people are like, well, baseball and stolen bases nowadays isn't that much of a big thing anymore. But with the new bases, the bigger bases, with Turner basically 40 plus stolen bases guaranteed every year, you got that dynamic along with Marte batting second, who also can steal bases. And Marte, who got a lot of clutch hits for this Mets this year, probably, you could say, probably one of our best hitters all around all year in this lineup. And that's why it was a big blow when the Mets lost Marte. You saw what happened to the Mets lineup when Marte was gone in September. It hurt a ton. So having Trey Turner, not only is he an elite defender, he bats around 280, 290. He's close to a 300 hitter. He can hit you 20 home runs. He can, RBIs is not really much of a thing with leadoff hitters, but he'll score a lot of runs. His runs will be high. His on base is good. Slugging, he didn't play in a small ballpark. Dodger Stadium is not a small ballpark, so I think he can actually hit a decent amount of home runs. Right center field in Citi Field is moving in, so he does hit a lot of gap-to-gap balls, right center, left center. Those balls can get home runs, get in over the wall that way as well. Trey Turner, I think, is the Mets' priority based on a position player that the Mets really need. If the Mets are going to spend a ton of money, I'd rather Trey Turner than Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo is going to cost you between $120 and $145 million. I do not want to give Brandon Nimmo that much money. I'd rather give it to somebody I know has done it in big spots. Turner did it with the Nationals. Turner did it with the Dodgers. He's that type of player that can drastically change this Mets lineup completely. He's a better player all around. Nimmo doesn't do anything better than Turner. And that's the thing. So we got about 1 minute left. And, do a little, a little bit of a something right there in a second. I'm going to do a little countdown. I think there's like 30 seconds left or so. So I'm just going to shut my mouth for a second and throw up some music. And, of course, I got to go with a Mets theme because it's only fun, right? So we got about a minute until... Yep, here it goes, guys. It's 5 o'clock, so here we go. Let's go. MLB Free Agency is ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Come on, Mets fans. I know you want to hear it. Let's go. Sorry, Braves fans. This is the Mets fans. That's it. I know some of you are dancing right now. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Alien. Let's go. Let's go.
We got the teamwork to make the dream work.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Keep it going.
We're gonna make it this time. We're gonna take it home.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
We're going to check Twitter really quick, see if anything pops up. You never know sometimes.
Make it happen.
And the one.
Where there's a million man, you'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year for all your Mets here.
All right, guys. Here we go.
Bring it home.
And Boston, that's all you, buddy. All right, guys. So here we go. We are officially in free agent mode. Off season is in full effect now, and we are ready to go. And it is time for the news, the rumors, everything we need to do to get started with MLB Free Agent Frenzy. That's why we're here. Here we go. Mets fans, baseball fans. This is always exciting, especially when your team is supposed to be very aggressive in the offseason. Finally, the Mets actually have an owner that wants to spend money. He did it last year. He spent over $100 million on a couple of players, 4 to be exact. And we know who they are: Marte, Canha, Escobar, and Scherzer. I do expect the Mets to spend well over $100 million on players this year as well. I do expect the Mets to make a trade, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Jeff Passan, and yes, this is the official Jeff Passan Twitter, the full qualifying offer list is as stated. The teams that gave qualifying offers to player: Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Jacob deGrom, Dansby Swanson, Carlos Rodon, Brandon Nimmo, Wilson Contreras, Chris Bassett, Anthony Rizzo, Tyler Anderson, Martin Perez, Jock Peterson, and Nathan Eovaldi. So those are the players that were given qualifying offers by their team. I believe the qualifying offer is $19.6 million this year. So if you notice, there was a ton of Mets on there. There was deGrom, there was Nimmo, and there was Bassett. Those are the guys that on the Mets that got qualifying offers. I'm very surprised that the Mets gave Chris Bassett a qualifying offer, but I do think they're not going to sign him. So the Mets will get a pick for Bassett. deGrom and Nimmo, we shall see. But I do think the Mets payroll is going to be between $330 and $350. And, you know, I forgot who it was. I think it was John Heyman that said that the Mets do have a budget, but their budget is extremely high. So we're expecting to go $350 at least. Most likely it could be more. Again, there is nothing the Mets can't do if they don't want a player. If they want a player, they will pay for him, right? Steve Cohen made sure he wanted Max Scherzer, right? I think if it was up to Billy Epler and probably some other guys in the administration or in the organization, they would have probably not gone the extra mile to get Max Scherzer. Steve Cohen made that happen. If Steve Cohen wants Trey Turner, I think he's going to do everything he can money-wise and year-wise to get Trey Turner. We do know the Phillies are probably the favorite, but I do think this is the new Mets team. The Mets are not going to allow Trey Turner just to go to Philly without a fight, right? This isn't the Wilpons with Zach Wheeler that basically didn't give him an offer and let him go to an NL East rival. That's not going to – Steve Cohen is not going to – if he can do anything in his power, he's not going to let that happen. So we'll see. Again, my prediction, I think Trey Turner is going to be a Met. And I think it's only going to come down to years and money. Players are not going to pass that up. I don't care how much they want to be somewhere. I can assure you, if the Mets give them the most money, they will be a Met. And I'm telling you, I said this earlier, the Mets doing the Diaz deal early and giving him the most money as a reliever ever and giving the biggest signing bonus in Major League Baseball history opened up a lot of eyes to the free agents. Trust me when I tell you. Again, not every free agent could be a Met, but I can assure you there's going to be a lot of teams, a lot of players that go to the Mets after they get a contract from another team before they sign. It says, hey, can you match this or do more? That's going to happen when it comes to the Mets. The Mets, remember, how many times, Met fans, we know this. How many times did a player get a contract from a team that they were probably going to sign when it says, "Hey, let's go to the Yankees and see if they can match it or make a better offer." That's what happens. And the Mets are one of those teams now, right? Everyone knows, right? That's why Brandon Nimmo, Jacob deGrom, anybody who's a Boris client, they're going to go. And if it's a necessity for the Mets, Boris is going to go to the Mets last before he makes his client sign a contract. It's just how it is. And it's going to be like that from now on. So we got to get used to that. Once again, guys, the qualifying offers that teams given to players: Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Jacob deGrom, Dansby Swanson, Carlos Rodon, Brandon Nimmo, Wilson Contreras, Chris Bassett, Anthony Rizzo, Tyler Anderson, which I think would be very good for the Mets, Martin Perez, Jock Peterson, and Nathan Eovaldi. Those are your full qualifying offer list, courtesy of Jeff Passan. So that's where we are right now. So if any of the three guys, deGrom, Nimmo, Bassett, leave, the Mets get a pick. And also, if you didn't hear, the Mets did pick up the club option on Carlos Carrasco, $14 million. So at the moment, the Mets rotation looks like Scherzer, Carrasco, Peterson, McGill. Obviously, that's probably changed a lot, but that's where it is right now. So the Mets got to fill their rotation, probably with at least two arms, if that includes deGrom and Carlos Rodon. I think that's going to happen. And Mike, that's a good question. Again, guys, there's a lot of people put in comments on. If I miss you, I am sorry. Again, if you want to throw up a super chat so I can see it, you can do that. Again, there's no pressure on that. I'm trying to get to everybody, but it's rolling in quickly. So if I miss your comment, I do apologize. I think I just saw Mike's. Mike, who's your number one realistic target for the Mets? I'm assuming you just came in, so I'm going to say it again. Trey Turner. I think the Mets offseason evolves around Trey Turner. I just do feel like the Mets and Trey Turner is a perfect match because it gives options for Mets to go out and do other things, like saying, okay, we can put Jeff McNeil in left field. We could put Turner at second base. We could put Turner in center field and still look for maybe another left fielder or looking for a little bit of a bigger bat at the DH spot, like Jose Abreu, like Josh Bell, or trade for a player that you think, or Jock Peterson, something like that. Joe, that's a good question. Let me just throw that up there really quick. Make a prediction, Rob, of who signs first. I'm assuming you're talking about a big free agent, like the known free agents, the big time names that we'll hear. I do think Trey Turner is going to move rather quickly. I think he's going to be the first domino to sign within the shortstop free agents. There's a lot of them out there. Correa, Swanson, Turner. There's a lot of them. So, but I think Turner is going to sign quicker, and then it's Swanson and then Correa, or it might be Correa with then Swanson. I don't know, but I think Turner's going to sign rather quickly, to be honest with you. At the moment, RJ, nothing crazy is happening yet. Of course, there's going to be rumors all over the place. Again, we went over a little bit. We heard about, and I'll get into the Yankees for a second as well. Alrighty. Let's see. Just checking Twitter. All right, there's a trade already. Rays have traded Ji-Man Choi to the Pirates. There you go, guys. Big names. So Ji-Man Choi was traded from the Reds to the Pirates. Pirates making moves early. So that, again, guys, there's going to be a ton of rumors. So, expect it. And with Aaron Judge, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, because he is the biggest free agent out there. It was very interesting what Brian Cashman said yesterday in an interview. He says that he doesn't necessarily think or believe that Aaron Judge will come back to the Yankees last to show and offer that a team gave if the Yankees will match it or not. So that's something that is very telling. And I honestly think Brian Cashman is reading the writing on the wall. I think he believes that Aaron Judge is leaving. I think it came down to more of the fact that I don't care what anybody says. The Yankees is not as appealing as they once were. And I don't think Aaron Judge is all about, the monuments and the captain title and everything that the Yankees brand brings. I don't think Aaron Judge gives a damn about that. He respects it, but I don't think he cares enough to say he's not giving a discount to the Yankees. And I don't think the Yankees are going to make the biggest offer. The Giants are going to pay whatever it takes to get Aaron Judge. And I can guarantee you Aaron Judge is going to be a Giant. He's going to be wearing 99 for the San Francisco Giants. I feel very confident about that. I think it's 90% he's going to be a Giant. And it's going to completely shake up who the Yankees are as a franchise, because the Yankees keep their own. And to let the best player in baseball leave your own team while you developed him and while he came through your system, and the biggest fan favorite, the biggest name known in baseball right now, had a career year last year, and you let him go with basically almost without a fight, that's going to be embarrassing for the New York Yankees, and I think it's going to happen. And you know what? That's going to make my day, to be honest with you. Again, it would make my day even. Look, I don't want Aaron Judge on the Mets because I think he'll break down, and it's going to take about 8-9 years to probably get him, so that worries me. He'll be great probably for the first couple of years, no doubt. But I think it's almost unrealistic for the Mets to go get Aaron Judge. But how sweet would it be as a Met fan for Aaron Judge to sign with the Mets? Not one, it will destroy Yankee fans, and you take them away from the Yankees. I mean, it's perfect, but I doubt that's going to happen. So Aaron Judge to the Giants is my prediction. I do think Trey Turner is going to be the first big free agent to sign early. I'm not saying today. I'm saying early. And I wanted to talk about Corbin Burnes. There's been rumblings and rumors that Corbin Burnes is on the trade block for the Milwaukee Brewers, the former Cy Young. That's an interesting situation where if the Mets lose out on Jacob deGrom and need to fill up those rotation spots, Corbin Burnes is a guy the Mets could trade for. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but that's something you have to look out to well. And, of course, with Carlos Rodon as well. So Corbin Burnes is on the trade block. The Brewers have a very strict payroll and budget. The owner does not want that GM to go over it. So if they're going to make moves and try to get better, or, with arbitration, with, the rookie deals that they're getting more money, it's a lot for the Brewers to handle, and they're probably going to have to trade Burnes, who is one of the better pitchers in baseball, and you can look at the Mets to go after that as well. The Blue Jays, I saw somebody talking about the Blue Jays. Look, I'm not going to say I'm an expert in the Blue Jays, but clearly they need help, right? They were projected to win the AL East this year. They failed, and they didn't get out of the wild card round. Jesus, my phone is going crazy. Okay, just checking if there's anything going on. So there's a lot to go into the fact that with the Blue Jays, they should have won the AL East, right? The American League was terrible this year. The AL East should have been all about the Blue Jays. They couldn't beat a Yankees team that I necessarily still think that wasn't very good. And I honestly think the Blue Jays are a lot better than they are, but they do need help. They need a little bit more bullpen help. I think somebody said Trey Turner to the Jays. I doubt that. I think they made enough big signings. Maybe you can help out in the starting rotation a little bit more, but I'm interested to think, how much do the Blue Jays need to improve? Because I think the Yankees are going to be worse, right? The Orioles are looking to spend big as well. They're an up-and-coming team, but I don't see anybody that can beat the Blue Jays in the AL East, because I think the Yankees are going to get worse. They're going to lose Aaron Judge. What else are they going to do? Cashman already told you. Josh Donaldson is your third baseman. Even if the Yankees decide to bring up Volpe and Peraza, as their two young kids in the infield, second and short, they possibly could trade Gleyber Torres. You're still coming back with another year of Stanton getting older. Your center fielder is Bader. Right field, who knows? Maybe they'll go after Brandon Nimmo. I don't know, but does that really necessarily make them a better team? I don't know. I don't trust Garrett Cole. I think Cortez is going to be good, but he's still not great. So, and then you got Severino, who always seems to break down. So the Yankees, I think, are very in trouble, and I think it gives the Blue Jays a chance to take that AL East by storm. I thought they were going to do it this year. Obviously, that didn't happen. But in 2023, I think the Blue Jays are the team to beat. But we shall see about that. So, again, guys, free agency started about 15 minutes ago. One trade went down. G-Man Choi was traded from the Rays to the Pirates. So that was one of the first trades of the offseason. And it happened basically as soon as the time came when free agency was open and ready. I'm just looking at Twitter just to see if anything's going down so I can let you guys know. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit on that like button. And if you're a new if you're checking out the channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel and keep on coming back for more. I don't care if you're not a Mets fan. This is the time when baseball fans have a ton of fun. And this channel is all about baseball fans, even though this is a Mets channel usually during the season. But I do appreciate fans of other teams coming on and talking baseball with us. And of course, listen, you will, if you're a fan of another team, you're going to be more inclined to know more about your team, know more about what beat reporters for your team are saying, because I'm not following Blue Jays beat reporters. I'm just not, right? That is just, why would I, right? I follow beat writers for the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, because they are in my division, and the Mets are the Mets. So, Stoney says, do you think the Braves will lose Dansby Swanson? I don't think so. They tried to re-sign him during the season and he didn't take the offer. I think he's going to be back. I think it would be crazy. I think he's one of those guys that made that lineup as dynamic as it was, and he killed the Mets this year, and he's a very good player. He's very good defensively. He's got better every year defensively. And offensively, he became more of a guy who hits for power as well. I think the Braves would be crazy if they lose Swanson, to be honest with you. Even though they could sign Correa or Turner, I think when you've seen what Dansby Swanson done as a Braves, I don't think you can lose him. Stony814, there's Stony420 and Stony814. Trey Turner, the Mets are not the favorites to get Trey Turner. The Phillies are, but you just never know. Yeah, I don't think LA is going to bring back Trey Turner. I'm just going through the comments really quick. Yeah, Suarez was released by the Padres. Robert Suarez is a guy the Mets can look at. He throws hard. Chafin is a guy the Mets need to get. There's no and ifs or buts to get it. Chafin is a guy the Mets need to go after. You know, the relief pitchers are probably going to be a little bit later in the offseason, probably like December, like around the winter meetings, which is going to be another big thing on this channel. So Chafin is a guy the Mets need. And you know what? Take a chance on Suarez. Look, the Mets they lost a lot of relievers to free agency. They didn't give the option to Givens, Seth Lugo, Ottavino, all free agents. I don't think the Mets are going to bring either of them back. I think they need to revamp the entire bullpen. Get Suarez, get Chafin, make a trade, fix this back end of the bullpen, get the bridge to Diaz secure. Again, relievers are very volatile. One year they're great, the next year they're bad. But getting guys that have track records of being good, the Mets need to be all in. Chafin has been a really good reliever for many years. Get him. He's a lefty. The Mets need a lefty. Suarez is a guy that throws hard. He looked really good this year. I would sign him. Get it done. The Mets bullpen wasn't bad. As much as people want to think it was bad, but it can always be better. And at the moment, I don't know if you can bring back Lugo again or Ottavino. I think it's a risky. I think he got the best of Ottavino. I don't see why he would pitch better than he did last year. So I don't trust that factor. And Seth Lugo, he's been getting worse and worse year by year, giving up more and more home runs. But he was very good this year for the Mets. So, but I think the Mets are going to revamp the entire bullpen. And it starts with what the Mets did and sign Edwin Diaz and work your way down from there. I'm just going through the comments, guys, just to see what everybody's saying. Trying to get other questions from other fan bases just to see. Oh, Mike, thank you about Conforto. Yeah, there's been some. Look, I would not be mad if the Mets give Michael Conforto a 1 year deal as like a trial run, because Michael Conforto is going to get a 1 year deal. He's not getting more than that. I would do it. Like I said, I don't think it's the end of the world moving Marte to center and bringing Michael Conforto to right field. He's a hell of a better defender than Brandon Nimmo. I know Michael Conforto is not going to play center field, but Marte is a better center fielder than Brandon Nimmo. We'll see that if Marte goes in center field. Conforto defensively is very good. I think Conforto can hit 25 home runs. And remember, guys, right center field is getting moved in. That's going to help Conforto as well. I think Conforto was just I think he just put too much pressure on himself in a contract year. I just think it was a snowball effect. I think it just didn't seem like it was working for Michael Conforto. But I think Michael Conforto is still a good player, and I would take a flyer on him depending on what the Mets do with Brandon Nimmo. Jojo, that's funny. But Philly is the favorite to get Turner. But don't count out the Mets. Dwayne Epler, I don't think is a goof. Again, every Mets fan was happy about Scherzer. Nobody was mad about Scherzer. Everybody liked the Marte, Canna, Escobar signings. Again, the trade deadline was a problem. I think Billy Epler knows he messed up. He just tried to save face. There was no doubt the Mets needed some bullpen help. The Mets needed a better DH because Vogelbach and Ruff were garbage, and they still are. And I think he knew he messed up. And I think Epler, I'm giving Epler a chance here. You know, he's got all the money in the world to do what he wants. I think Epler knows pitching is important. He's going to fix the bullpen. He's going to do what he has to do with the start and pitching. I think Epler I don't think he's great, but I think he knew he messed up at the trade deadline. As much as he tells you he didn't, he's just trying to save face. That's all. He's not going to tell you, oh, I screwed up. He's not going to do that. So I would give him a chance. Music Man, I don't think the Yankees are going to make the biggest offer, and Judge is not going to give a team-friendly deal to the Yankees. The Yankees are not going past probably 325, and I think the Giants are going to blow that out of the water. Oh, Alien, I know, man. They're going to go crazy because, you know about the Giants and Dodger fans. The Morning Beer, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Dave Roberts was saying that he knew for sure that the Dodgers were going to the World Series. Yeah, well, Dave Roberts is a terrible manager, and I don't know why he is a finalist for the Manager of the Year. I think that's laughable. He's a terrible manager. I think the Dodgers would have at least one more World Championship more than 2020 if they had a different manager, not named Dave Roberts, because Dave Roberts is a terrible manager, and he underachieves every year with that team. They win a lot of games during the season, but when it comes down to the playoffs, Dave Roberts is absolutely a terrible manager. Can 70-30 Judge leaves? I think it's more than that. I think it's like 80-20, to be honest with you. I feel confident that he's leaving. Stoney, Trey Turner to the Mets, I think it's likely, but I think the Mets are going to try everything they can to get Trey Turner. But it comes down to what Trey Turner wants. We'll see. Texas Rangers are the sleeper for Judge. That would be interesting. Look, the Rangers spend money, right? They signed Alex Rodriguez out of nowhere. So I do expect the Rangers to spend. I think they need a lot more pitching, but why not? You never know. Yeah, I think that rumor is laughable because the Braves are not going to outspend the Rangers or the Mets. The Braves are not going to give Because in their history, they don't give big contracts to pitchers. They never will, and they never have. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think they do want Jacob deGrom. But look, why would Jacob deGrom's agent put out there that Jacob deGrom is interested in the Rangers when we all know Jacob deGrom lives in Florida? Wouldn't he put the Braves as that type of rumor? The reason why he did that because he knows the Braves are not going to outspend the Rangers or the Mets. DeGrom is not going to the Braves unless Jacob deGrom is going to take less to go to the Braves, and I don't think that's going to happen. And Swanson leaving Atlanta, I think more likely he'll stay. Jesse, that's true. If they're going to want stuff, but let me just check Burns' contract. Let me see. Let's see, because that is important. Oops. All right, guys. I'm just checking the. All right, so he's got 2 more years of team control. Arbitration 2, arbitration 3, and arbitration 2 is around $12 million. But the money's not the issue. It's the fact that you could have him for 2 more years, and it's going to cost a lot. But again, if the Mets can't get Jacob deGrom, maybe they do sign Carlos Rodon, but they still need to fill spots in that rotation. Will they make a trade for Corbin Burns? If the Angels do not trade Shohei Ohtani and Ohtani becomes a free agent next year, the Mets are all over that. I can tell you right now, if Shohei Ohtani is a free agent, the Mets are going to get him. I'm telling you that right now. Billy Epler and Shohei Ohtani are very close. Billy Epler traveled to Japan, was one of the only GMs that actually traveled to Japan to meet Shohei Ohtani, and that's one of the big reasons why Ohtani signed with the Angels, because he got very close with Billy Epler. That's a big deal. And I think that's a big possibility if Shohei Ohtani doesn't get traded and signs elsewhere with an extension, which I don't think he will. I think the Mets are going to be all in on Shohei Ohtani, but you never know. Will the Mets go after Corbin Burns in a trade? So we are going to refresh Twitter and see what's going on. The Yankees have added Jimmy Cordero to the Major League roster. All right, there you go. That's a little bit of information. Let's refresh Twitter and let's see. And of course, everybody can be verified on Twitter, and people are talking about Corbin Burns to the Yankees. It's a fake account. Gotta love it, guys. All right, I'm just scrolling through Twitter right now to see. Pat Ragazzo, Mets have officially extended qualifying offers to deGrom, Nimmo, Bassett, and Taijuan Walker did not get a qualifying offer from the Mets. Very interesting. Maybe the Mets are thinking about bringing back Walker, which I would not be against. All right, let's see. Anything else going on in the Twitter world around baseball? All right. Terrence Gore was outrighted to Syracuse by the Mets. That's probably making room on the roster. And he elected free agency, so that's an open spot in the 40-man. All right, what else? Let's see. All right, that looks like that's it at the moment. All right, guys. So there we go. So not really going down at the moment. So I'm just going to keep on looking at your comments. And again, guys, if I missed your comment, I'm sorry. There's a lot of people in the stream right now in the chat. So if I miss it and you really want your question answered, send a super chat if you want, because I probably can't see everybody if I miss it. Let's see. Ron, you think they would package Corbin Burns with Yelich just to get him out of the way? Ugh. I don't want Corbin Burns if it means bringing Yelich in. Even though Yelich could easily play center field, he's breaking down. He had a better year last year, but I don't trust Yelich to stay healthy, especially with that chronic back injury he has. I'd rather just get Corbin Burns by himself. A package with Corbin Burns, I mean, it's going to cost a lot. Listen, use Ronnie Mauricio. Please use Ronnie Mauricio in the trade. That poor kid is just staying in the minor leagues and is getting better and better, and the Mets have no spot for him. You could throw in Ronnie Mauricio. You can, depending on, they're probably going to want a young arm as well. The Mets got a couple of young arms in their top 15. or 15 to 20 that could be up in the next year or two that are projected to be very good. You give Ronnie Mauricio, I would think you would probably have to give like an Alex Ramirez, the young outfield prospect for the Mets. I would do that for Corbin Burns. He's that good, and he got 2 years of control. So, that's something the Mets could actually look at as well. So it's going to take probably 2 or 3 top 15 prospects. So if you're willing to do that, I would. Let's see. Verlander. I think a lot of teams are going to be after him because Verlander's going to get a 1-year deal from somebody. DeGrom to the Rangers. Again, DeGrom's agent put that out there. Obviously, he would be interested in the Rangers because the Rangers need pitching, and the Rangers said they're going to spend money. So, of course, there's a chance they can go to the Rangers. I think it's more likely him going to the Rangers than the Braves, but we'll see. Michael, I think more things are going to happen. I think it's going to be, I don't know about today necessarily, but you'll hear a lot more. You'll get a lot more information to see where some teams are, put it that way. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a signing today. I'm not saying, Jacob deGrom is signing today, but you might see one of the shortstop go today. I think Trey Turner wants to sign fast. There's been a ton of rumors about teams after him. What you haven't heard about Correa and Swanson. So that's something where if you hear all these rumors and teams very aggressive after Turner, you might see Turner take a deal by the end of the week, I think. Yeah, Michael, you never know. Like I said, what was it, 2020, before the pandemic, during the offseason, it seemed like teams colluded with each other not to sign really big contracts to players. And it took basically until January for all the big players to get off the market. And that sucked. 2021 got a little better, and last offseason got a little better. There's going to be a lot more signings earlier, I think. I don't think a lot of players are going to wait anymore. Alien, I don't know if they're going to go into rebuild mode, but they might get a lot younger. They might use a lot of their young guys to come up. I'm just going through the comments, guys, so just give me a second. Middle-aged gamer, Halo signed Turner. Yeah, they're going through, they're selling the team, so I doubt they're going to make big moves, to be honest with you. I think they're probably focused on trying to sign Shohei Ohtani, which is not going to work for them. I don't think he's going to sign there. I think the Angels are in just like the stratosphere right now. I don't think they're going to do much at all. Mike, you know what? Cole was good, but I don't think he was good enough, to be honest with you. There were certain times when, he needed to shut down certain teams, and he didn't. And, he pitched good, but who did he pitch well against? The Guardians. That's it. And if you're going to give credit to him for pitching good against the Guardians, then, I mean, come on. He pitched once against the Astros. He pitched well against the Guardians, which he should do. Michael, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a lot quicker this year, especially with teams. But you got to see the teams that are battling it out for a lot of the same free agents. In 2020, when things were really slow, there was a lot of teams that weren't battling with each other. Like you didn't see the Mets and Phillies battling for the same player. The Yankees and anybody in their division fighting for each other. It was more like, all right, the Dodgers, the Yankees, like teams like that, the Padres, you didn't see a lot of divisional rivals battling out for the same player. I think this year is a lot different, right? The Aaron Judge saga is crazy because of the fact that the Yankees might not be able to re-sign him. The thing with the Mets as well, right? The Mets are fighting for players that they want, that the Phillies want, and the Braves might possibly want. And the same thing now that the Mets are in a different stratosphere now as well. So it looks like a lot more teams are battling it out for the same players, where I think it's going to be a lot more. I put it this way. I think when the winter meetings come in December, I think there's going to be, I think Aaron Judge is probably going to still be on the market. I think a guy like Correa might still be on the market, but I think guys like Turner, Swanson, Rodon, DeGrom, I think they're all going to be off the board. Yeah, I don't like Kiermaier. He's been hurt the last couple of years, and he hits for nothing. Very good defensively. You know, that could be a guy you can pick up as like a first outfielder off the bench, as a fourth outfielder, but you can't have him start for the Mets. I don't like that. He's a really good defensive player, but he has been hurt lately. Vincent, you might see a couple of small sign-ins and maybe a couple of trades, but nobody really that big. Even though I think Trey Turner is going to sign rather quickly. Bassett to the O's. That, you know, that's something I didn't think of, but that, Randall, that's a great call. That makes sense. Orioles need pitching. Bassett is a very good pitcher, and he would help that Orioles rotation very well. He's a solid pitcher. That's a good one. I didn't think of that one. That's a great one, Randall. Great one. Thank you for that comment. Michael, that's what I agree with. Mets beat reporters suck. Yeah, because we got Andy Martino, who I think is always anti-Mets. Always. There's nothing, anytime, you know, he said last year that the Mets had no shot of getting Max Scherzer. That's a pipe dream. And the Mets signed Max Scherzer. Andy Martino didn't have any news about Marte, Canna, or Escobar. He is very bad at predicting what the Mets are going to do. I think the Mets basically feed him false information most of the time. I think he's more of a pro-Yankee reporter than a Mets reporter. Put it that way. Richard, thank you, buddy. I do appreciate that. Hopefully you do subscribe and keep on coming back for more. Let me know where you're from. Again, guys, if you're new to the channel for the first time and a new subscriber, don't forget to hit on that like button. And also, I like to know where you're from and what team do you root for. I always like to see that. And Richard, thank you for tuning in, buddy. Vincent, anybody signed tonight? I think it's going to be small guys. But I do think by the end of the week, I would not be surprised by the end of the week, Trey Turner signs. No, actually, no, I don't think they did. Let me see. Hold on, guys. Yeah, Trey Turner was given the qualifying offer from the Dodgers. So it will have to give up a pick. It might turn some teams off. You know, I don't think it's going to turn the Mets off at this point anymore. In years past, you know, the Wilpon Mets, yes, but not now. And you know what? I'll enjoy myself if that happens, because the Yankee fan base is one of the biggest crybabies of all, and they're one of the most spoiled fan bases in all of baseball, yet they complain more than anybody, which is hilarious to me. Kendrick, I agree. DeGrom and health is an issue. And again, nobody knows more about the medicals and the injuries more than the Mets with Jacob DeGrom. That's why I don't think the Mets are going to go insanely crazy to keep Jacob DeGrom. Now, will they go that fourth year? I think they will. But beyond that, I don't think they're going to go past that. The Rangers give him 5 years. I think he's going to the Rangers, or anybody for that matter. Aiden, I don't know what Cashman's going to do. He ain't signing Judge, that's for sure. And I think he has a strict budget. I don't think Hal Steinbrenner is going to go over that luxury tax. So I think the Yankees are at $180 million or so. And what is the first luxury tax? $225. So you got about $50 million to work with. If you sign Judge, that's basically all you're doing. So it might be better for the Yankees not to sign Judge and use that money elsewhere. Vincent, I wouldn't be surprised sometime by the end of this week, I think the Mets are going to make a move. I don't know if it's going to be a trade or a sign-in. It might not be a big move, but it might be a solid move. Mike, I would be happy. I would like that a lot. Turner, center field or second base, and get Josh Bell as your DH. I take that in a heartbeat. Mothman wants Turner. We all do. Gamer, I don't think so. I think the Angels are going to stay status quo. They're selling the team. They already spent a ton of money, and they're still a bad team. I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, Michael, I honestly think the Mets are going to revamp that entire bullpen. And, maybe late in the offseason, they might sign Ottavino. But don't look for a lot of big-time relievers to get off the board early. That usually doesn't happen. Usually the relievers are usually the last couple to sign. I don't think Ottavino's coming back. I do think the Mets are going to go heavy after like a Robert Suarez, Andrew Chafin, maybe other arms in a trade. I think you're going to see a lot of different names in the Mets bullpen this year in 2023, in my opinion. Well, Ken, it wasn't the getting relievers in the offseason. I think they should have signed Chafin, and I don't think Epler's going to make that mistake again. Here's a sign to know if Epler's going to do a good job with the bullpen. If they sign Andrew Chafin, I think it's going to be a good free agent period for Epler when it comes to relief pitching, in my opinion. KTU, Trey Turner. First big signing. I think he's going to sign first. Aiden, I think the Yankees have to wait for Aaron Judge. They're not going to make no moves signing-wise. They might make a trade because you've been hearing rumblings that Gleyber Torres is getting a lot of interest from other teams, and you might see that type of trade with Gleyber Torres getting traded. But signing-wise, the Yankees are not going to do anything until they either sign Aaron Judge or they lose Aaron Judge. Michael, I agree. Ottavino was very good, but that was basically his best year in his career. Are you going to get that again? I don't know. I don't think the Mets are going to sign Seth Lugo or Adam Ottavino. Stoney, I believe that he's probably going to go to the Rangers. And I probably won't be that mad. Gamer, I think the Mets are going to – they're not going to get outbid. But I think the years are more important here, not the money. The money's not the issue for the Mets. The years. The Mets are not going to go 4 years. Now, could the Mets go 4 years with a mutual option in year 5? They could do that. But if the Rangers guarantee 5 years, he's going to the Rangers. No, Ken, it's not that I don't think Ottavino could have another good year. I don't think the Mets think that Ottavino can be as good or a good reliever going forward, in my opinion. I don't think so. Now, again, I think if they make a couple of moves, Chafin, Suarez, or a couple other bullpen arms, and Ottavino's still on the market later on in the offseason, I think they would pick him up. All right, so I'm just looking at the Twitter right now just to see what's going on, if any rumors popped up. Let's see. What is going on in the world of baseball? Not much. Yeah, I don't see much going on right now, guys. Just give me a second. And once again, guys, I will be on until 7 o'clock tonight. So if anything goes down, you will get it here first. I do not see, let's see, nothing really going on. That Colorado and Seattle, this is from Tim Ryder, interested in Brandon Nimmo as reported. The Mets will have a decision to make. Nimmo is a top-level producer when healthy. He just hasn't been all that healthy. 100 games twice in his career. That's another thing with Brandon Nimmo too. His most games in his career was his contract year. Always look for that as a sign that is he necessarily going to be healthy going forward? We don't know that. Corbin Burns to the Mariners, I didn't see that. So I don't think that's happening yet, but that could happen. They need pitching. Yeah, Jacob, I think that's a pipe dream because Hal Steinbrenner is not going over the luxury tax, and you got about $40 to $50 million to work with if that's the case. If you sign Judge, that's basically your entire payroll right there, close to the luxury tax. So Nimmo's going to cost you $20 million at least, and Verlander is going to cost you at least $20 million. I doubt that's going to happen. If you sign Judge, you're not doing a lot more. I'm letting you know that right now. Yeah, I saw that. The Orioles did contact Brandon Nimmo's reps. That kind of makes sense. Nimmo can play the corner outfield. If they pay him, he can go there. All right, let's see. What else is going on here? People are talking about the Mets looking into Brian Reynolds of the Pirates if they lose out on Brandon Nimmo as a center fielder. That makes sense. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's an option as well. Let's see. Joe, where did you see that about DeGrom? But I think you're right, though. Okay, there it goes. All right, so I seen that. The Orioles talking the reps to Brandon Nimmo. All right, so that's something there. All righty, there we go. Let's see what else we got in the comments. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit on that like button. And if you are new to the channel and subscribe to the channel, say what's up. Let me know where you're from and what team you root for. 626, yeah, I doubt Kevin Kiermaier. He might be a fourth outfielder option for the Mets, but not somebody that they're going to make their starting center fielder. Yeah, well, again, I see the problem with the Yankees, in my opinion, if they don't sign Aaron Judge, is that all right, you don't sign Aaron Judge, so you need a right fielder, right? You got your center fielder in Bader. Left fielder is probably Stanton, but Stanton is another year older, so I think they're probably going to leave him at DH. So now you need a left fielder and a right fielder. I don't think the Yankees are going to overspend for Brandon Nimmo, so I don't think that's an option. Could they bring back Andrew Benintendi? That might make sense. Yeah, my phone's just going completely nuts. Dynastia, well, nobody's sleeping on the Phillies. I don't think anybody said that. Again, I think the Phillies are the favorite to get Turner, but I don't think if the Mets really want Trey Turner, they're going to outbid the Phillies, in my opinion. But it will depend if Turner wants to go to the Phillies or the Mets at that point. Joe, yeah, but he's not a finalist, isn't he? He's not a finalist, right? Rob Thompson. I don't think he was one of the finalists. I think it was Dave Roberts, Buck Showalter, and Snicker from the Braves. Well, I don't think the Grom and Conforto combination. If we get one and not the other, I don't think that's the case. The Mets can do both. That's not the issue. Jacob, I'm glad you're confident because I don't think that's happening at all. I don't think the Yankees are going to give the biggest offer. I just don't think it's happening. David, again, you guys take those rumors that Trey Turner said he wants to play for the Phillies. Trey Turner didn't say that. That was not quoted. His agent put out that rumor. Trey Turner didn't talk to reporters and say he wants to play for the Phillies. Bryce Harper is his friend. You don't think Bryce Harper told the reporter, hey, put that out there? Trey Turner was not quoted. Just like the rumor was Jake DeGrom is interested in the Texas Rangers. Jacob DeGrom and Trey Turner didn't say that. Their agents put that out there because they know, hey, Trey Turner could fit with the Phillies. Of course, the agent is going to put it out there. They're going to put out rumors for teams that they know they could possibly sign with. That's what they do. You know, Trey Turner also said, and this is a fact, this was a quote from him, that he loves to play at Citi Field, his favorite ballpark. And his teammate that he would love to play with is Jacob DeGrom. So he did say that, and that was quoted. And that was last year. So that's a quote. Jeff Strohs. Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that the Astros could sign him again, but I don't think they're going to go that route. I think Verlander's going to be on another team, to be honest with you. Adames is interesting. Willie Adames is very interesting. Verlander to the Yankees, I think that's a possibility. Again, I still think the Yankees ain't going to make any move until Jacob DeGrom, Aaron Judge makes a decision. Christopher, I think a lot of people are killing Conforto for no reason, to be honest with you. Roberto, how you doing, buddy? Rob, do you think Carrasco, with the qualifying offer extended from the Mets, will be a good pickup for the rotation? I don't know. Carrasco's another year older. He's a solid pitcher. Again, he can't be your number 3. Put it that way. If he's your number 4 or 5, I'm not going to go crazy. I think that's fine. You know, find me a number 4 and number 5 starter that has a lower than 3.5 ERA. You're not going to find it throughout the league. So Carrasco as a number 4 and number 5 is perfectly fine. It's just a matter of what else the Mets are going to do. If they can't sign Jacob DeGrom, are they going to try to sign Carlos Rodon, trade for Corbin Burns? That's what they would have to look at to fill out that rotation. Christian, a member of Talking Mets and Rob. What's up, guy? What's up, buddy? Yeah, that's an option. You know, they could go after Verlander, Rodon, and trade for Burns. I don't want Justin Turner. He's done. The Jays did not do anything yet. Yeah, I don't think the Mets. I think the Mets possibly might re-sign Walker. I think that's why they didn't give him a qualifying offer, because I think they're confident that they could sign Taijuan Walker, in my opinion. Well, Abraham, I don't know if you seen the video that I posted, but I put up 3 trade packages to get Alexis Diaz, Edwin Diaz's brother, from Cincinnati. The Mets tried in July. I don't know. We didn't hear why they didn't get it done. I don't know if the Reds backed out or the Mets didn't want to give up too much more, but there was talk about a trade for Alexis Diaz in July with the Mets and the Reds. So maybe that'll pop up again in the offseason. Turn it to the Orioles? Possibly. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Stony420, you're welcome. Yeah, Jansen's terrible. There's no reason why the Braves need him. Get rid of him. Don't even waste your time with him. Jeff Strohs, Verlander, I think Verlander is going to be – he's not going to be an Astro. I think, you know, you can see teams like the Mets, the Yankees, the Orioles, the Rangers, teams that need pitching are going to be getting Verlander. One of those teams. Rafael, I don't think the Mets should go past 3 years, but I think they would go 4. I don't see – Rafael, I think you're focused too much on the money. The money is not the issue. It's the amount of years the Mets are not willing to go. The Mets will give Jacob DeGrom $60 million. They don't care about the money. The problem is the amount of years, and I think that's where the Mets are going to pivot a little bit. I don't think they're going to go past 4 years. Trey Turner to the Cubs, AJ Prod, no. I think you can see Correa going to the Cubs. I think that's probably more like it. Yeah, the Cubs did outright 7 players. That's kind of insane. But they have a lot of money to spend, so we'll see. Well, Jacob, that's not necessarily true. The 1 year Jacob DeGrom was really, really hurt was in 2021. Every other year he's pitched. You know, he was rehabbing this year. That's why he didn't come back from that injury within a year. So it's only that year. Every other year he's been majority healthy. So that's not true. All right, let's see what else we got in the comments. Again, I keep on refreshing Twitter, guys, just to see what's going on. If anything. Let's see. Let's see. What do we got here? And just checking Twitter right now, guys, just to see if there's anything. All right, guys. So Robert Suarez is off the table. The Padres signed him to a multi-year deal. So Suarez is out for the Mets. And I see a lot of Met fans in the comments right now pissed off. So unfortunately, Robert Suarez, that's one of the sign-ins already. Robert Suarez signs a multi-year deal with the Padres. So that is off the books for the Mets. AJ, is that true? We'll see. Yeah, Joe. I mean, it's about time the Orioles open up their checkbook. I mean, they overachieved last year later in the season. They need pitching. They need to get better. And they should open up their checkbook. It's nice to see teams that never open up their checkbook starting to open up their checkbook. Yeah, I think the Mets and Aaron Judge is not happening. IRJ, yeah, you know, he was a fan favorite, but again, the Rays are always in transition, and when they Rays trade somebody, they're probably right to trade them. It just seems that way. Oscar, we're talking about everything, buddy. We're talking from everything from Trey Turner, Corbin Burns. We're talking Judge. We're talking DeGrom, Nimmo, all over the place here. We're all over. Oh, Steve, I just got to click on the name. That's all. Just like that. Just like I did just now. Well, the reason why Wheeler signed with the Phillies was because the Mets were stupid and they had the Wilpons as their owner who were a disaster. That's why he went to the Phillies. Hep C, free agency, man. Season went quick. Daryl, I don't know because it's very weird with the Jays, right? They can always use another starting pitcher. They need help in the bullpen. I think your lineup is pretty damn good. So who are you really gonna get? You know what I'm saying? Like, what players are out there that fill a void for the Jays, right? You're not signing Aaron Judge. You got your center fielder, so Nimmo's probably off the table. I could see you going after starting pitching, to be honest with you. You know, Rodon. I doubt you going after DeGrom. Maybe trade for Corbin Burns. I don't know. Profar is not a bad option in left field. Honestly, Morning Beer, the platoons I just don't like at all. You know, the Mets love to experiment with platoons, and I just don't like it. I don't think you mess around with platoons with starters, including the DH spot. So, again, as a fourth outfielder, I wouldn't. That would be okay. Profar's okay, but not the platoon as like an everyday thing. I don't like the platoons, to be honest with you. But Profar's not a bad option as a fourth outfielder. Bassett to the Yankees? I doubt it. Jimmy, that's the big old signing right there. Darren Ruff, 5 years, $200 million. Well, yeah, exactly, Ken. When it comes to Heyman and Andy Martino with the Mets, take their tweets and their information with a grain of salt. Heyman can't stand the Mets. The same with Andy Martino. Nathan Eovaldi, that's a good call. Nathan Eovaldi to the Astros makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Especially if they can't, if they're gonna let Verlander, if they're not gonna sign Verlander. Hep C, the reason why I think that is the fact that I think Trey Turner knows the teams that want him. And the teams that are known are the Phillies, the Mets. There was a little rumblings about the Orioles. There's specific teams that are basically going to go all in on Trey Turner. And when you got two or three teams that Trey Turner knows that want him, I think the teams that are already flocking to him are going to be aggressive. You know, guys like Swanson and Correa, there's a lot of teams after him, and the market hasn't developed yet. You haven't heard rumors for the most part for Correa and Swanson. You've heard a ton of rumors with Trey Turner already, and I don't think that's something to look past. I think that's why I think he's going to sign rather quickly. All right, David, Jersey Phillies fan. Had a good run in the playoffs, that's for sure. Yeah, there's already players that declined qualifying, that were given qualifying offers. The qualifying offer, I think they have to decline it by today, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, I'm a liar. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so here we go. A player will have 10 days to accept or decline the qualifying offer, during which time he can negotiate with other teams to survey his market. So, again, you know, guys like Chris Bassett, Jacob deGrom, Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo and Jacob deGrom, they're going to get multi-year deals. So they're going to decline the offer. It's just a matter of checking out their market. So they got 10 days from today. So what is that? Next Sunday, they can decline or accept it. Brett, how you doing, buddy? Bassett did not go to the Yankees. Not yet. That wouldn't be a bad move for the Yankees, though. I'm just refreshing Twitter. All right, so Robert Suarez's Padres signing is one of the largest guarantees in recent memory for a reliever without extensive closing experience. Could be as many as 5 years per source. So it's a big-time signing for the Padres to re-sign Robert Suarez, who is very good for them, who is not necessarily a closer, which is crazy. Cash, I couldn't agree. 100%. Yeah, Isaiah, I said that early when the season was still going on. It would be crazy. The Giants signed Judge, and opening day they play the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. It's perfect, perfect. I'd watch that before I turn on the Met game because that would be hilarious. Yeah, Christian, I don't think it's too. I know it's new rules and everything like that now, but I don't think the Mets care at this point anymore. If it's a player they really want, like Trey Turner, they're not going to care about the compensation that's going back to the other team. Packers, that's a possibility. Rodon is interesting because he's another one like Trey Turner that already has a market developing for him. That you heard rumors already. You know, the Mets, the Phillies, the Orioles, the Rangers. There's a lot of teams and the market already developed. So that's a good one right there with Carlos Rodon for sure. So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Welcome to MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 1 of the MLB offseason officially. When things really get started, free agency is officially started. Any player, any team can sign or go to anybody they want. And of course, there was already one big sign-in. Robert Suarez, who was already on the Padres, re-signed with the Padres. And according to John Morosi, it is one of the biggest guaranteed reliever contracts in MLB history. And it could surpass 5 years, which is pretty cool. He is young, so it kind of makes sense for the Padres. And he's not even a closer, which, who knows, they might make him their closer. Tanya, at the moment, it seemed like a good idea because when that trade was made, everybody just assumed, all right, Chris Bassett's a really good pitcher. He was basically the ace of the staff for the A's. Everybody just assumed the Mets would re-sign Chris Bassett. But when you see what Chris Bassett said about New York, that he got a little shell-shocked by New York, and the way he pitched in the biggest moments, which was against Atlanta the last week of the season, and the playoff game against the Padres, it's kind of hard to bring Chris Bassett back. Even though I don't think anybody would be against bringing back Chris Bassett, he is still a solid pitcher. I don't think it's a bad trade, even though, let's be honest, JT Ginn could have been one of these guys that could have been a big part of this rotation, if not this year, next year. Music Man, you ain't kidding. That lineup would be really nice. Turner playing leading off. Marte second. Lindor third. Alonso fourth. Bell fifth. McNeil sixth. Depending on who else is here. Canna seventh. Oh, beautiful. Or Escobar seventh. Canna eight. Oh, that's beautiful. You know, who knows if Alvarez is going to be the starting catcher. Woo! Gotta love it. Dark, St. Louis needs pitching, so that kind of makes sense. And I wanted to talk about, you know, Dark, you brought up the Cardinals, and obviously the Cardinals need a catcher. There was some interest with a couple of teams with James McCann. Met fans, listen up to this one. Would you want the Mets, if the Cardinals say, we will trade you Steven Matz for James McCann, would you make that trade? The contract's kind of an even swap. The Mets need a little bit of rotation help. Steven Matz coming back to the Mets. We know how that disaster was. But if Steven Matz is the number 5, maybe another year older, another year more mature, would you do that trade just to get rid of James McCann? And Matz is an okay pitcher. Would you do that? I might. Let's see. Morning beer. Yeah, I think so too. Again, I wouldn't be against the Mets just giving guys days off and using them as a DH. That's a way you can use the DH. That's not a bad idea. But we'll see. Yeah, Victor. Judge is not taking anything less than $300 million. Just so you know that. And he's probably going to get 350 or more. Yeah, Ben. Hey, listen. Pirates making moves. You know, that's not a bad move for the Pirates. I know the owner sucks there. And, you know, PNC is one of my favorite ballparks. And I really feel bad for you Pirates fans because you are a good fan base in Pittsburgh. Like when I was there, you guys, when I spoke to a couple, I was at a bar right outside PNC Park. I forgot what it was called. And I was talking to a few Pirates fans at the bar. And they're saying, you know, I told them, I go, they were like, you know, we're really passionate fans, but we don't want to support an owner that doesn't support the team. And I don't blame them. A beautiful ballpark, and they can't fill it up with a fan base that is dying for a good team. Jace from St. Louis, what's up? Chris, originally from Oregon, live in California, Braves fan since childhood. Cool. Welcome to the channel. Drew, I am a Braves fan. We are coming for DeGrom. He is not rumored to go to the Braves. Again, that's the only rumor that came out of that was coming from the Braves. Just so you know that. He's not going to the Braves. The Braves are not going to outspend the Mets or the Texas Rangers. Not happening. Now, that's the reason. The whole reason why what I said earlier with why Jacob deGrom's agent put out interest towards the Rangers because they know the Rangers could out give more years and more money than the Mets. The reason why wouldn't it make sense for the agent to rumor the Braves as big time interests more than the Rangers, knowing that Jacob deGrom's from Florida? Because Jacob deGrom's agent knows the Braves are not going to outspend any of those teams. That's why. So that rumor is very false. Unless Jacob deGrom is going to take less money and less years to go to Atlanta because it's closer to home, it's not happening. Brent, I do agree with that. If the Mets lose DeGrom, I think they're going to get Rodon. And yes, Robert Suarez signs a huge deal with the Padres. It looks like it's north of 5 years, so that's a big time re-signing for the Padres. We were just talking about the Mets and Suarez, but the Padres re-signed their guy. Anil, I agree. I do agree with that. I think the bullpen is the issue with the Blue Jays. You can always use more starting pitching. That's true. But I don't think that. I think that's the issue, and I think the Jays are going to be the team to be in the AL East. I think the Yankees are going to lose Judge. Excuse me, going to use Judge, and I think it's going to make them worse. I think if you fix that bullpen, I think you're going to be a lot better than you were this year. Yeah, Jennifer, I agree. I think Jacob deGrom is not going to waste time. He's going to get those offers from whoever gives him the offers, and then he's going to decide. Judge Boston, no. I doubt that. All right, so Robert Suarez's deal for the Padres is 5 years, worth $46 million. The contract includes an opt-out after 3 years. The opt-out similar to Diaz's opt-out. That is a lot of money for a non-closer. A little under $10 million a year for 5 years. So that's a big contract for a pitcher that wasn't the closer for the Padres. Very interesting. Tommy Pham or Profar. Profar more likely as a fourth outfielder for the Mets. So there's your first big signing of the offseason. Robert Suarez re-signs with the Padres 5 years, $46 million with an opt-out after the 3rd year. Also, G-Man Choi was traded from the Rays to the Pirates. Those are your 2 moves at the moment, the big signing and the first trade of the offseason from 5 p.m. when everything started to go crazy. I do think, Isaiah, I do think if the Giants lose out on Judge, they can pivot to a guy like Swanson. Ciro, I think it's more possible than people are giving it more notoriety. I think more people are so focused on Philly because, well, you heard the rumors about him and Harper being friends. The non-quote that's saying that Turner wants to be with the Phillies, I think that was more from his agent than anything else, or they're just throwing it out there because they know that the Mets are heavily involved in him. And if the Mets know that, the Mets are going to do everything they can not to let him go to Philly. Anthony, who would the Yankees get? I have no idea what the Yankees are going to do. I think they're going to lose out on Judge, and then it's a crapshoot from there, in my opinion. Abreu to Cubs. I've heard that a couple of times already. I don't see why that would not be possible. I'd like Abreu for the Mets, but yeah, the Cubs got to make moves. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Yeah, Paul. Jacob deGrom is not going to get 2 years. He's going to get either 4 years or 5 years from somebody. All right, Joe. Thank you, buddy. Have a good day. Uh, Sim, Aaron Judge is a giant cry about it. I'm not a Yankee fan, so I can care less, to be honest with you. I would laugh at Yankee fans because it's fun. But other than that, no. Well, Drew, I think the problem with not re-signing Swanson is the fact that I don't know how much the Braves are willing to pay a guy outside their organization, right? They usually don't sign big contracts to guys that weren't on their team. That's why I think Swanson's going to come back. They don't give big contracts to guys outside their organization. They usually never do. They know Swanson obviously came up through the system. That's why I think it's going to be very hard for them to sign any of the other shortstops if they don't re-sign Swanson. And that's a big deal for the Braves. If the Braves don't re-sign Swanson and they lose and they can't get any other shortstop that's on the market, like Turner or Correa, which I don't think they're going to get, that's a big time loss for the Braves. That's not a small loss for them. Karen, how you doing from Canada? Thank you for tuning in. Joe, take it easy, buddy. MB, yes, the Padres do re-sign Suarez. Thank you for the super chat. I agree. I think it's a big loss if the Braves lose Swanson. Owen, what do you think about Trey Turner? I think the Mets need to be all in on Trey Turner. I said this a couple of times now. The Mets offseason, in my opinion, evolves around Trey Turner. I think it will be an actual disappointment if the Mets don't get Trey Turner. I don't care what else they do. I don't even care if they sign Aaron Judge. I think it would be not as good as an offseason for the Mets in their hot stove period in the offseason if they don't get Trey Turner. I think it's a big disappointment if they don't do it, if they don't get him. Yeah, I don't see why the Guardians would trade Bieber. I mean, they made the playoffs this year. They won the division. They almost beat the Yankees in the ALDS, and they're probably going to get better. I doubt they're going to trade Bieber. I take Bieber in a heartbeat, but I don't think they are. Drew, I don't think the Braves are spending big. The Braves spent big. They spent big on Olsen. That's it. They don't spend big outside the organization. They just don't. And I don't see where they're going to outspend anybody that wants Trey Turner or Carlos Correa or Jacob deGrom. You're just not going to do it against other teams. That's why I think you're going to look, you got a good enough team to be a World Series contender if you sign Swanson. I mean, how much? I don't see where else you can get really, really better. You can fix the bullpen a little bit more. You had issues with that, with Jansen as your closer. But I don't think the Braves are going to outspend anybody. They gave Olsen the big contract because they traded for him. He was a Brave. They don't do that. I don't know why Brave fans think they're just going to spend money. They don't outspend anybody. And I don't see why they would do that now because nobody's going to outspend the teams like the Phillies, like the Mets, like the Dodgers. They're just not. Oh, Robert, if they do that, that's kind of good. But yeah, that would be nice. David, a Twins fan. All right. How you doing, buddy? Your Twins need something. I don't know what the Twins need, but they need help. That's for sure. I don't know their payroll situation, but they should do it. They should do some damage. DBZ, yeah, you know what? I think the Orioles are going to spend some money this year. But again, it comes back to the point where, obviously Turner played in Washington. Obviously, the DMZ line, all that stuff, with Maryland, everything like that, Baltimore. That's a possibility. I don't think the Orioles, the Orioles can pivot to Correa. They might be after Swanson. They need pitching. Maybe they'll be after deGrom. Kendrick, I think deGrom should get traded. I mean deGrom, excuse me. Dominic Smith. Yeah, I don't see why the Mets are still keeping him around. Yeah, Scully. I don't think Dom Smith for a reliever. Yeah, not a great reliever, but a solid reliever. Yes. Christian. Yeah, Justin Turner can remain a free agent. I don't want him on the Mets. All right, so I'm gonna refresh Twitter again. See what's going on in the baseball world right now. Once again, guys, I'll be with you through 7 o'clock. So whatever happens, we had one trade and one big signing. Billy Epler said Francisco Alvarez will earn the opportunity to make the roster coming up north to the Mets, which makes sense. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see. All right. Give me a second. Just rolling through Twitter just to see if anything's going on. I don't see nothing yet. Just the Francisco Alvarez stuff. Yep, I don't see really nothing going on. All right. I don't see nothing, guys. So what we know so far, G-Man Choi was traded from the Rays to the Pirates, and Robert Suarez re-signed with the Padres, 5 years, $42 million. So that's a big-time signing for the Padres and a lot of money for a middle for a back-end middle bullpen reliever. You know, he wasn't the closer. He was the seventh, eighth inning guy. So that's a big deal for the Padres. That's a good signing. Again, Drew, he did not say that. You got to stop quoting the players that didn't say that. Trey Turner didn't say he wanted to play for the Phillies. That was a rumor from a reporter that was just said from a reporter that probably came from his agent. Agents are going to say that. You're going to hear stuff like Jacob deGrom wants to come back to the Mets. Why do you think he's going to say that? Again, Jacob deGrom is not going to be a Brave. I'm sorry. Unless Jacob deGrom is going to take less money and less years, the Braves are not outbidding the Mets or the Phillies or the Rangers. It's just not happening. Steve, yep, happy hot stove. A lot of rumors are coming down. Everything going crazy. All right, let's see. I don't think the Blue Jays are gonna go crazy spending. I think you're gonna fix your bullpen and go with the same team you have with a better bullpen. Once again, guys, I'm trying to get to a lot of the comments. Again, it's coming. The comments are coming quick, so I'm just trying to check where you can. If you can do a super chat, please do. I can see it a lot easier. DeGrom is not going to the Yankees. The Yankees are broke. All right. The Yankees are not signing Judge. They're in trouble. Trust me. Judge the Philly. That would be hilarious. Yeah, Drew. The Braves are on everybody's television. TBS was national. That's why the Braves were all over the country. I remember TBS. I always watched Brave games throughout my childhood, and I still couldn't stand them. Adon, I mean, yeah, it would be, but I don't think the Astros are going to re-sign him. I think Verlander is going to be elsewhere. Yeah, Steve, I agree with you. Like I said, if Steve Cohen wants a player, I think he's going to do everything he can financially to get that player. He did it with Scherzer last year when nobody expected the Mets to even have a chance to get Max Scherzer, and they did. Bryce, I don't think it's as weird as you. I think it's not as weird as you might think. Again, the Yankees did everything they can to piss off Aaron Judge. They made the contract known that they offered him public when you shouldn't do that. All Cashman had to say, we made a competitive offer. We thought it was a competitive offer for Aaron Judge. He declined it. That's his right. And we'll see what we can do in the offseason. If he would have said that, I think Judge would have been a lot happier with the Yankees. But it seemed like a trickle-down effect. And then the comments that Cashman made yesterday, that he doesn't believe that Aaron Judge would come back to the Yankees with an offer that a team gives Aaron Judge. So if Aaron Judge likes an offer from the Giants, he's gone. He's not going back to the Yankees to say, hey, are you going to match it? He's out. He's not giving the Yankees the benefit of the doubt because the Yankees did everything they can to piss him off. Arbitration, they didn't want to give him $21 million that he asked for. They settled at 19. They made the offer public, and the Yankee fans decided to boo Aaron Judge in the playoffs. Yeah, that's something that Aaron Judge can say F you and go to the Giants and not even worry about what the Yankees care about. Transistor, I do think we need a big bat, but I think if the Mets get Trey Turner, I think that really does help the lineup a lot more than a big bat, even though you could still get Josh Bell, put him at DH, and the lineup looks a hell of a lot better. Jared, let's go. I'm rooting for it. Judge to the Giants, baby. Let's go. I want the Yankee fans to soak. Look, sorry if you are a Yankee fan on this channel. Look, I'm not trying to troll you guys. I just don't like you guys. It's not about the organization. I just think Yankee fans are too spoiled, and they deserve everything they get with the disaster of what the Yankees have been. And I hope it gets worse. I'm sorry. I do apologize. I'm not trying to be mean, but I cannot stand Yankee fans. I'm sorry. I have Yankee fans in my family. All right. I love them. I love my family, but I just don't like Yankee fans. They always think they're winning the World Series. They're obnoxious. They're spoiled. And I don't understand how 25-year-old Yankee fans are spoiled when they were basically in diapers when the Yankees were in their dynasty and they won World Series in their lifetime. Stop it. You're just like every other team now that doesn't win every year. Get over it. You are not the Yankees of old. You are just a team in New York now. Deal with it. Okay, sorry, I just had to say that. I have enough Yankee fans at work, so I don't want I get on them a lot. Mario, I 100% agree. I think you're a Mets fan, Mario. I said it. Trey Turner is what the Mets need. The Mets offseason evolves around Trey Turner. That's just my opinion. I think everything, if the Mets don't get Trey Turner and he does go to the Phillies, that's already a one problem. But I don't think the Mets can do anything else in the offseason. They can make 3 sign-ins, a big trade, and I still think it's a disappointment because I think Trey Turner is who the Mets should get. Sean Murphy makes sense for the Cardinals. I don't know what they have to trade. They do have a good farm system, but I don't know if the Oakland A's are going to trade him, though. Yep, I like Trey Turner more than Nimmo. I don't think anybody can say that Nimmo is better than Turner because he's not. Jonathan, how you doing, buddy? Well, Urza, I do think the Milwaukee Brewers are going to put Burns on the block. Philip, I actually like that. Look, Suarez was good for the Padres, right? He wasn't their closer, but he was very good. Again, he didn't pitch well against the Phillies, but for the most part, he pitched really well. He pitched well against the Mets in the playoffs, and he pitched well all year. It's a good signing. I wouldn't be surprised if the Padres make Suarez their closer. So it's a good signing. Liam, I feel so bad for you Pirates fans. I mean, but I don't know what you guys are going to do, to be honest with you. Yeah, Ken, I wasn't even born yet when the Pirates were a dynasty. Devin, it makes no sense for the Mets. Uh, for Wilson Contreras, you already got a logjam with Nito and McCann with 2 more years and Alvarez. I mean, you got to give Alvarez a shot to make the team. See what he can do as a catcher. Yeah, Stoney, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Brave fans are getting a little bit crazy because of the fact you got bounced out of the playoffs where you guys didn't expect to get bounced out of the first round at all. And I think you guys are a little bit delusional about what you guys are going to do. You guys don't need to do much. You guys won 101 games. You just won a World Series in 2021. You signed all your young talents that you have. I don't think you're a really good team. I don't think you need much. Obviously every team can use an extra starter. Every team can use an extra bullpen arm. And if you sign Swanson, you guys should be fine lineup wise. Your rotation should be okay. A possibility that you have a healthy rotation going forward. You don't really need that much. All right, guys. So once again, I'll be with you guys until 7 o'clock tonight, another half hour. Thank you for tuning in to MLB Free Agent Frenzy Day 1. I will be gone tomorrow for Day 2. And, come back for more. Maybe there'll be a lot more going on, and we'll see. But once again, thank you for tuning in to Talking Met Rob. And if you're a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing to the channel and checking out the channel and giving me a chance to be a part of your baseball life. I promise you, during the offseason, it will be all about baseball as a whole. But this is the Mets channel, so if I do focus on the Mets channel, the Mets a lot, obviously you know why. But I do try to focus, again, any breaking news that happens throughout the offseason. If I'm live with you guys, I will say it's not like I'm avoiding what's going on anywhere else. I'm not. Again, I am not an expert in any other team other than the Mets. I do hear a lot about the Yankees. I'm not going to, give you something that I don't believe or tell you something I don't believe in. When I say I don't like the Yankees and I don't like the Yankee fans, I mean it. I do think Brave fans are front-running fan base. There is diehard fans. I appreciate that. But again, I am one of those guys that I appreciate fans of other teams. When you're a diehard, it's pretty easy to figure out if you're a diehard fan, right? I see that. Diehard fans are there through thick and thin. You don't run away when your team is bad. That's what I appreciate with diehard fans. If you're on my channel, if you were with me throughout the season when the Mets might have faced your team, I always said this. I always appreciate fans of other teams that the Mets face. Just be a fan, win or lose. Don't show up only when you win and disappear when you lose. That's one thing I always say. I appreciate diehard fans, and that's why I like the offseason, because I get to speak to a lot of fans of other teams. I don't get that a lot during the season because it's mostly Met fans on the channel. So I do appreciate you guys subscribing and checking me out on the channel and giving me a chance. Hopefully you keep on coming back for more during the off season. All right, let's see what else we got here. Robert, would I pick Jock Peterson or Josh Bell at DH? I like Josh Bell a little bit more, even though Jock Peterson provides a little bit more power. Jock Peterson strikes out a lot for me. But I wouldn't mind either or, but I'd rather have Josh Bell. Ryan, again, it's not the problem with Nimmo being. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's not. He's a very good player. He's not going to get $20 million plus by being a bad player. But the things that I need to see from Nimmo that I thought he was going to get better at, he didn't. He never learned how to steal bases. He's fast. He's very fast, but doesn't steal bases, which doesn't help the Mets. He plays too deep for my liking. He has no arm. And once again, I keep saying I'm like a broken record. In September, when the Mets needed him most, when Marte was out, Nimmo came up very small. His average went down 20 points. He struck out more. His on base was bad. He wasn't taking as many pitches as Nimmo usually does, and he was a big disappointment in September, and it hurt the Mets tremendously. Bryce, I think you're going to see a little bit more pickup in sign-ins than we did in years past. You know, I think baseball, the players and the teams like to get into the winter meetings, which is what, 2 weeks before Christmas. I think they like that whole intrigue. You know, if everybody signs in the first 2 weeks of the offseason, it's fun for us. But then the winter meetings are just going to be nothing. So I think by the winter meetings, you're going to see a lot of sign-ins. Packers, probably not. I think you're going to see maybe a trade, possibly a sign-in here or there, but nothing crazy. Well, Chris, again, you know the Jays better than I do. What is the hole? I don't know. Well, Jonathan, you need it. That's for sure. Hey, Jonathan, what's up? Sorry, I didn't even see you. Alrighty. Just checking Twitter just to see if anything popped up. Yeah, just it's quiet. That's for sure. All right. Let's see. Yep, I don't see nothing. All right, guys. So really nothing going on Twitter right now. Reggie, exactly. He grew up a Giants fan. I don't think that's a big part of it. I just think that I think Judge got sick and tired of the Yankees disrespecting him throughout the season. To be honest, you know, making the offer public, playing around with him with arbitration. I think he's pissed off. Ethan, I love that comment. Teoscar Hernandez being available for a trade. That's interesting. All right, guys. So I'm just checking the comments. Well, Christian, money talks. And again, it depends. Look, no player is going to take less to join a team. It's just not happening. If the Mets give a bigger offer than the Phillies, Trey Turner's coming to the Mets, regardless of where he's going to play. Again, does he prefer shortstop? Yes. Alex Rodriguez came to the Yankees and signed back with the Yankees to play third base. So, and we all knew A-Rod was a better shortstop than Derek Jeter, and he played third base. If A-Rod can play third base, anybody can play anywhere. That's why. It's not about him. Why would he agree to play second? Because if the Mets pay him 8 years, $250 million, and that's the highest offer, he's going to the Mets. Just like if the Phillies give a better offer than the Mets, he's going to the Phillies. Just that simple. It's not that hard to understand. Jonathan, thank you. Look, even Jonathan likes me. He's a Phillies fan, and he found my channel during the season. Stony, tomorrow 5 p.m. is going to be the stream for day 2. Boca, that's fine. You could be a diehard Yankee fan. That's cool. Look, I'm not saying Yankee fans are not diehards. I just don't like you guys. To be honest with you, I think you're unfortunately spoiled, And I don't even think it's the older fan base. You know, the ones that are like my age, like from 30 to like 30 and older, that was around during the dynasty. The spoiled brats are the ones that only saw one world championship in 2009 and are like 20 years old. Those are the spoiled brats that complain about everything. You know, they assume the Yankees have to win the World Series every year, and it's unrealistic. All right, you don't see dynasties like the Yankees anymore. The closest thing we got to the dynasty in the last 25 years was the Giants 3 out of 5 years. There hasn't been another dynasty. You don't get that. I mean, you might get that one every 50 years, maybe. You know, you get the Pirates back in the day, you get the Reds back in the day, the A's back in the day. But that's every 20 to 30 years. You don't see that all the time. And I think until the Yankee fans get off that pedestal that they think they're on, they're annoying. And it's not all of you guys. It's mostly the younger fans. But you know, when I hear Yankee fans say World Series or bust, I want to slap you in the face because it's unrealistic. Mothman, he's not going to strike out with that. MLB News and Rumors, what's up, buddy? All right, let's see the comments. Kish, yeah. You know what? I didn't get a lot of. I got a little bit from after the game from Dodger fans, but again, I was with the 7-line army. I was with 6, 7, 800,000. Wow, 6, 7, almost 1,000 Mets fans. So it's not like we were doing chants back and forth, but it wasn't as bad. But again, it was a day game, so it wasn't night. I know Dodger Stadium could be crazy at night. It was I got a little bit of heckling after the game in the parking lot, but it wasn't crazy. But I know it can be bad at Dodger Stadium. But all they said, "Oh, Mets suck. Let's go Dodgers." And all I said to them, because I still can't stand the Giants because of Connor Gillespie in 2016, I said, "Hey, beat the Giants for us." That's all I said. So it wasn't that bad. I love Dodger Stadium. I think it was really nice. My dad loved it, so that was important. Jonathan, that's right. You were by the locker. That's right. That's right. 7 o'clock tonight, guys. I'm streaming until, and then tomorrow 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow. I do have it on. I have it on mute because if I put the volume up, you're gonna get interference with the microphones. I don't want to make you guys go crazy. All right. So once again, guys, just a little bit of what went on in the first day of free agency officially started. G-Man Choi traded from the Rays to the Pirates, and Robert Suarez signs a 5-year, $42 million deal with the Padres to stick with the Padres. That is the news at the moment. And that is basically all that happened at the moment. Maybe some things will happen later on tonight. We'll see. Who knows? But with that said, I do appreciate everybody coming on, hanging out tonight. Even if you're not a fan of the Mets, it's appreciated. That keep on coming back for more. I love fans of other teams. I get different perspectives. You might know more than me about your team. Obviously, that kind of makes sense. But you are following your team's beat reporters on Twitter. I'm following mostly Mets, Yankees, and Phillies and Braves beat reporters because, well, that's my division and my team in the Mets. And then everywhere else, I follow national reporters. So it's important to get information from you guys as well because, again, you guys hear a lot more things from your team than I would. So, I'm not going to have every little detail that you guys might have. And that's why it's important for you guys to interact with me in the chat so I have an idea of what the hell's going on sometimes because I can't catch everything. I'm not going to say, hey, come to me because I know everything because that's unrealistic and I don't have that type of mentality. So, Dylan, thank you so much for the kind words. Once again, guys, tomorrow, 5 p.m., I'll be doing day 2 of MLB Free Agent Frenzy. And I'll probably do Sunday as well. Well, maybe not. I'll probably do Saturday. Most likely not Sunday. There's too much going on Sunday, so I probably won't be able to do it. But again, guys, I usually do YouTube shorts if there's breaking news regarding the Mets. But if there's a big sign-in from a player that I thought the Mets should have got and went elsewhere, I also do a YouTube short if I'm not available to come up live with the stream. Well, Mike, we'll see. So again, guys, the trade G-Man Choi raised to Pirates. Robert Suarez, 5 years, $42 million to re-sign back with the Padres. That's all we got at the John. That's a good comment. Rob, what would you offer Jacob deGrom and Turner? Turner is kind of, I'm not sure where the market is with that, but with Jacob deGrom, I would not go past 4 years. I don't care about the money. If the Mets want to give him $60 million a year, I don't care about the money. The money's not the issue. For the Mets, it's not the money. It's the amount of years. I think the Mets are hesitant to give 4 years, but I think if they have to, they will give 4 years. They're not going to, put it this way, they're not going to lose Jacob deGrom because the Rangers give him 4 years. The Mets would match. I think the Mets could give the most money, but I don't think if the Rangers really do want Jacob deGrom, it's probably going to take 5 years. I think the Mets will go to 4 years. 4 years, 45 to $50 million I would do with Jacob deGrom. Trey Turner, I'm big on Trey Turner. Big, big, big. If you got to give 7 years, $250 million, 8 years, he's 28 years old. He'll be 36 at the end of the contract. He'll get the majority of the good years for that. I would do it in a heartbeat. That's where I would go with Trey Turner. Jonathan, again, the Phillies still do suck. Just because you're NL champs, the same thing with the Braves last year. The Braves weren't the best team, but they got hot. The Phillies got hot at the right time. That's what helped them a lot. You know, you always had a talented lineup. That wasn't the issue. You know, your pitchers had to pitch better. You lost because of your bullpen and you started pitching in the World Series. I think you guys got hot at the right time, just like the Nationals, just like the Braves. I think the Braves were a better team this year than they were in 2021, but they won the World Series. And be careful, Jonathan, because the Phillies, you know, it seems just with teams that make the World Series, unless you're the Astros, teams that make it to the World Series sometimes kind of don't do better. Like I said, I don't think the Phillies are a bad team. You know, it's going to be a big fight in the NL East next year with the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets. But guess what? All three are going to make the playoffs, and it's going to be fun. Again, who cares who wins the division at this point? Because it doesn't matter anymore. So I don't think the fact that, you know, it's going to be hard for 3 teams to win 100 games. But again, it's possible now because you play your teams in the division less with the new balanced schedule. So could you see 3 teams winning 100 games? Yeah. And again, we know what baseball is now. Baseball is make the playoffs and anything can happen. And that goes for the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves. Because the Mets, yeah, Jonathan, it's not a fluke. We kicked their ass. I mean, the reason why you beat the Braves was because you matched up well against the Braves. I'm pretty sure if the Mets were to face the Phillies in the playoffs, the Mets match up way better than against the Phillies than the Braves did. You had the Braves number. I bet the Phillies to win the series against the Braves. I put $100 on the Phillies. I think it was like plus 150 or something like that because they were big underdogs. Made me win extra. I won 250, so I'm happy. But it wasn't a fluke. The Phillies were a bad team. They got hot in the second half, and they continued it through the playoffs. The Philly fans are going to act like the Brave fans last year. They got extremely cocky, thinking they were better than they were, and then it bites them in the ass. Now, it doesn't say that the Phillies are a bad team. No, Jonathan, they weren't. They just got hot at the right time. That's it. You weren't a good team. All right? Your bullpen still sucked. Your starting pitching, Nola is garbage. Again, you want to make Nola out to be your ace? It's the Philly. It's Wheeler. That's your ace. I don't know about that. Granted, but I agree. I think the Mets were kind of. But again, if the Mets would have faced the Phillies, the Mets would have won the division. And I think if the Mets would have won the division, it would have been a lot different in the playoffs. Again, the Phillies could have still beaten the Mets, but the Mets matched up better against the Phillies than the Braves matched up against the Phillies. And I said it, Jonathan, you were on my channel. I told you, I said the Phillies matched up way better against the Braves than the Mets would against the Phillies. Just that simple. Matchups means everything in the playoffs. The Braves didn't match up well against the Phillies. The Padres were the Padres. The Phillies, I believe, were better than the Padres. It kind of worked out perfectly. The Phillies didn't have to play the Dodgers. The Phillies didn't have to play the Mets. That helped you guys. No, Nola's not an ace. Nola's garbage. I've told you this over and over again. Remember, Jonathan, you were the one that was saying that Nola was the ace. Wheeler wasn't. I said that from the beginning. Wheeler is your ace. Nola is a good pitcher who has good starts, really good starts every now and then. He has more bad starts than he does good starts. I'm on for a couple more minutes, Thor. Again, they got hot at the right time. The Phillies got hot at the right time. You know what helped the Phillies? Their lineup hit in the postseason. That was it. Yeah, I don't believe that one bit at all. Nola is not better than Jacob deGrom or Wheeler, or Scherzer. All right. To be honest with you, Walker had a better season than Aaron Nola. So what does that tell you? Nola's not a bad pitcher, but he's not an ace. I'm sorry. He's not. Nola was supposed to be the ace of the staff, and Willie was like, nah, step to the side, buddy. Watch the pro pitch. All right. The Phillies lost that World Series game by taking out Wheeler. That was the only bad move Rob Thompson made all year, was taking out Wheeler in Game 6. I don't know what the Tigers are going to do. Yeah, well, you know what? There's a lot of pitchers that have what it takes. But if you don't find it, you're never going to be a really an ace of the staff. And I don't think Nola's going to find it, to be honest with you. I think he has too many stumbles throughout the year to become an ace. And that's why I said Wheeler is an ace. And I said that from day one. Wheeler was always going to be better than Nola. And I said that. Well, Wheeler got you into the playoffs too. Nola pitched well. But when you're as inconsistent as Nola is, you can't trust him. That's not an ace. All right? Wheeler, every time you went out there, you felt like he can throw a complete game. That's the difference. So we got about 7 minutes left, guys. I'm going to refresh Twitter one more time and see if anything went on. But thank you all for tuning in to day one of MLB Free Agent Frenzy. And Jeff McNeil won the Silver Slugger Award, which is great. That's cool. But other than that, there doesn't look like anything else going on. Let's see. Alrighty. Looks like nothing else is going on in the Twitter world. Alrighty. Let's see. Alrighty. So, yep. Nothing going on there. So, we might as well just end the stream a little early, a couple minutes early. So, once again, guys, thank you for tuning in for the two and a half hours that you were on the stream with me. Again, two things went down. G-Man Choi traded from the Rays to the Pirates, and Robert Suarez re-signs with the Padres, 5 years, $42 million. That is at the moment. Once again, keep an eye out on Trey Turner, Jacob deGrom, and Carlos Rodon. I think those guys are going to sign somewhat quickly. I don't think they're going to waste time. I think those are the three guys that I think are going to sign pretty quickly because I think their market and their teams, the market has developed for them already. There's no surprise team that are going to probably pop up. The teams that you know that are involved are going to be one of the teams that sign those three guys. So with that said, guys, and Noah, yes, I talked about Carrasco, $14 million club option. The Mets did pick up Carlos Carrasco's club option. So at the moment, that's what the Mets did at the moment. We'll see what happens with day 2 of the MLB Free Agent Frenzy. We'll see what happens later tonight. I'm not expecting much. You might see a trade and maybe a couple of small signings here and there. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Talking Mets with Rob. Come back tomorrow, 5 p.m. MLB Free Agent Frenzy, day 2. Everybody have a good night. It was an interesting first day, but we'll see. The night is not over yet. Once again, guys, everybody have a good night. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. See you next time, guys. Have a good night.